Okay, and to recap our mnemonic memory map from today's class. Okay, so we started off talking about detecting identical rows using the drop duplicates value to get a better understanding if there are duplicated rows, and then we can drop those and get rid of those because we don't really need those. Okay. Uh, we talked about identifying our null values or ghosts in our data set, the null values, and then we can really use a quick little function dot sum to sum up when something is null, it's the true value, and really get a good sense of when those are occurring. Okay. Type, we can use as type to kind of translate data from one source to another source, translating it from an integer into a string or from a string into an integer. Signal what Python can do with any given object if we know what the data type is. Okay, so it's very important to be aware of our data types. It's kind of how we subtly communicate with Python as a subtext in our code writing. Okay, so always important to be aware of that. It's amazing how many of my issues that I deal with on a database are because I didn't understand the data type well enough. And the next thing we talked about is how we change strings, we clean them up, and we often want to clean them up, reduce the number of categories, getting them, correcting misspellings so that we're able to encode this or decode this into different variables. Okay, we often into a number form that we can use in mathematics and then kind of decode that afterwards to be able to understand what we've been representing. Okay. We talked about outlier treatments, how we often want to, we really want to be aware of our outliers, and what we're going to do depends on the specific case, but we'll either truncate our outliers or drop the rows because they do have such a large impact on our statistics. We want to really be aware of how they could be affecting it so that we, good or bad, we're really understanding the true value of our relationship, not what this outlier is making it seem like. Okay. Summarize, we talked about how our Einstein here helps us with summary statistics, mean, average, max, min, to get a good sense of the median, where our data really is, the center and the extremes of our data. We often use those with a group by function where we group by, and here we're grouping by colors of our fruits. We're putting the different ones together and then we're usually aggregating it with a simple mean, min, max, min, count even of the values. And this is going to apply a split. So it's going to aggregate each data frame into its own data frame by category, the class and the category. Apply the min or the mean values to this and then aggregate those and then stick all those classes together. So we get the average by class per column as an n data frame. You'll see that when we do just the group by, it's not ready to be aggregated. Until we've aggregated, it's not really visible. So we need to make sure that we follow that or at least understand that concept of split, aggregate, combined, so that we're able to see these concepts. Okay, we talked about cross-stat, how it kind of splits the data dividing by 2, but it splits down the middle and or then across the horizontal as well. And we'll divide by a category one way and divide by another category in the other direction. Okay, so we can really get subsections, look at their average, and start to examine those as a whole. Okay. We talked about concat is really how we're sticking our data side by side. We're really just pushing it together. You can see our Titanic people walking arm in arm. Kind of the same idea. We're just sticking our data set together. Talked about merge, which is very similar to the SQL join. We're going to do a left join, inner join, outer join, right join. Okay. And really, we're joining on an ID column, so something in our data set, and we're joining on that. And we're not going to duplicate that value. Really, we're going to merge it, and so that everything is based around that index value or the ID value. Okay. Some feature engineering we discussed was kind of flipping a switch, was encoding, one hot encoding, so 1 when true, 0 when false. And we can do simple things like correlation analysis, understanding when these categories are active and not, and understanding how it impacts our target. We also talked about a type of feature engineering where we'll be taking the past into the present so that we can do usually financial math or some sort of mathematics, some sort of an analysis on our data sets. Okay. So we use many mnemonics in today's class, and really we used lots of unique illogical pictures. There's words association, color association. I tried to describe things in thinking about 3D space, just so we can have that in our minds. We're keeping memories of these, and that should help us to more readily find our way back to those memories, the knowledge. Okay. A really important step for you to do is just to go back and read these slides. You'll be able to download the presentation from today. Go back and read it and see. Just review it. Just there's nothing really super complex there. We just want to review it to help it stick in our memories, and we'll go through the workbook together, and I'll see you there.